Yes!
As of this past September, Destiny 2 has been around for 2 years now, and with each DLC release, we're always the most excited about the new exotic weapons and armor. Based on the way that each DLC release is structured in year 3, it's safe to say that Bungie is focusing on giving us brand new exotic loot instead of bringing back some of the most favorite classes from D1. And now that we're on the subject of Destiny 1, I want to go ahead and introduce our special guest today. This weapon is the first raid exotic to ever exist in the Destiny franchise as a whole, and is still very special to most, if not all, of the Destiny 1 veterans. This weapon is known as the Vex Mythoclast. Even if you've never touched Destiny 1 a day in your life, it's incredibly unlikely that you haven't heard of this weapon. The Vex Mythoclast is one of the most unique exotic weapons of all time, in a sense that it's classified as a fusion rifle, but has the rate of fire of an auto rifle, and in Destiny 1 it sat in the primary slot. It's pretty much safe to say that the Vex Mythoclast paved the way for trace rifles, in a sense that the Vex Mythoclast and trace rifles are both considered to be laser projectile auto rifles. The same could also be said about the Arbalest and a currently unreleased Bastion, which are both fusion rifles that are both located in the kinetic slot. And when you really think about how the Vex Mythoclast had its own unique classification, it's impossible to deny how much it influenced the aforementioned weapons. Obtaining this weapon was 100% random, as it could only drop from defeating the Vortiglass raid's final boss, Atheon times Conflux on hard difficulty. And the Vex Mythoclast came into existence during the era where RNG was the only thing that stood between you and your exotic drops. Exotic quests outside of the 5 exotic bounty weapons and the Necrochasm questline didn't exist in Destiny 1 until the release of the Taken King DLC. So if you're a newer player and haven't completely grasped why the Destiny player base hates RNG so much, this is the reason why. So for all of you who started with Destiny 2 and still haven't managed to drop a 1000 Voices, Anarchy, or Teraba, understand that us Destiny 1 vets had it much worse, because if I recall correctly, Bungie never released any updates to Destiny 1 that would increase the drop rate of the Vex Mythoclast. And due to the fact that the Vex Mythoclast was the only RNG based raid exotic weapon in Destiny 1, it's definitely safe to say that Bungie used this as influence and motivation to not have quests for the aforementioned 1000 Voices, Anarchy, and Teraba in Destiny 2. Bungie's goal was to return the feeling of suspense, rarity, and anticipation to exotic raid weapons. Wow, Vex Mythoclast is a real trendsetter based on everything that we just talked about. But yeah, Vex Mythoclast was an amazing weapon in every aspect, and due to the fact that it was so unique, it's no surprise that it was also very powerful. In its prime, this weapon was absolutely broken and was capable of some very scary things in the Crucible. But with such great power comes great responsibility. I think that might be the right analogy, but yeah, Vex Mythoclast suffered the same inevitable fate as every other overpowered weapon in the form of a series of nerfs that all happened over the course of year 1 of Destiny 1. Its perk, Enhanced Battery, which was a perk that could roll on the conventional fusion rifles, functioned differently on the Vex Mythoclast and increases magazine from 21 to 56, which was unheard of for a primary weapon. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the only primary weapons capable of having a magazine size higher than that would be what's known in Destiny 2 as the 720 RPM auto rifle archetype, which was referred to as the bullet holes auto rifles. So if you played D1, the best example I can think of from this archetype would be the Doctrine of Passing from Trials of Osiris. But with a 56 round magazine, Zen Moment, and crowd control, Vex Mythoclast was a serious problem in Destiny 1's Crucible, especially considering the fact that it was its era's raid exotic. And if you never stepped foot into the hard mode of the Vortiglass raid, there was no way in the world that you would ever have this weapon. As stated previously, most exotics in year 1 of Destiny 1 dropped solely as random rewards, which was bad enough, but Vex Mythoclast was a random drop that could only be obtained through one single method, and it wasn't guaranteed that it would ever drop. I had a lot of friends back in the D1 days who ran hard mode Vortiglass all the time and never obtained the Vex Mythoclast for themselves. But when I decided to go for the weapon, I would LFG for Atheon checkpoints and kill the boss 3 times a week until it finally dropped for me. From that point on, Vex Mythoclast became probably my favorite exotic weapon of all time. Now, in regards to this weapon returning to Destiny 2, I would have called you insane and said that it would never happen if the Outbreak Perfected never made its debut in Destiny 2. I never really put anything past Bungie when it comes to bringing back exotic weapons and armor, but I can confirm that nobody expected a Destiny 1 raid exotic to return. So after Outbreak came back, I began to think of ways that the Vex Mythoclast could return as well. In my Season of Opulence predictions video, I stated that if the Vex Mythoclast returned, it definitely would be through a time mission similar to the likes of 0 Hour and the Whisper of the Worm mission. I could see this mission partaking in the Pyramidion or somewhere on Nessus, and the Vex would be the only enemies you would fight there. Now, I'm 100% certain that if the Vex Mythoclast did return, it will undoubtedly be more powerful than its most recent D1 version, which was its Year 3 Age of Triumph version. The majority of the D1 throwback weapons in Destiny 2 function similarly to their D1 versions, except much, much better, and it would be a disservice if the Vex Mythoclast didn't get the same treatment. But moving on, Vex Mythoclast was one of the few weapons in Destiny 1 that was viable in PvP and PvE respectively, and its perks synergized amazingly. Zen Moment in the first trait slot gave it a stability boost of 66% after 5 rapid hits, which was incredibly easy to do due to its relatively high stability stat, and Crown Control, which is known as Rampage in Destiny 2. Some time ago, the Rampage perk was nerfed pretty badly and currently caps out at 33% extra damage after 3 stacks. However, when the Rampage perk was nerfed, the exotic SMG Huckleberry was completely unaffected, which leads me to believe that Vex Mythoclast would receive that same courtesy if it returned in Destiny 2. Alright, that does it for this one, everybody. In the comment section, tell me what your favorite exotic weapon from Destiny 1 was, and tell me if you would like to see it return in Destiny 2. If you made it to the end of this video and enjoyed what you watched, do me a favor and thumb wrestle that like button till it turns blue. And if you're new to my neck of the woods, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you won't ever miss a video of the most elite gaming content. But with that being stated, 1LHD is over and out. Y'all take it easy.